Good afternoon. This is Patty with the Florida Inns, and I'm happy to introduce you to Leighton Collis with Bespoke, who's going to be presenting our marketing seminar today, the Why the Last Decade of Marketing Wisdom Doesn't Matter. So I hope you enjoy. So take over, Leighton. Leighton, can you hear me? Can everybody hear? Okay. Hello?
Hey there, it's Leighton. My sound kind of disappeared and came back in. Are we on the air? Patty, can you just come back in and let me know that we're good to go?
Yeah, I hear you now. I hope everybody else does too.
Okay. If anyone else is having any trouble not getting audio, they won't hear me say this, but please use chat to let us know. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I love to start off with one of my favorite ads, so I'm going to play this for you, and then I'm going to come back in. So here we go.
Brace yourselves, because this hotel has some amazing footwear. And how about the 5-pound barbell at this resort? It's a soap. This lodge has some. And this hostel has ice cubes. And this hotel has eggs. If you're into it, we know a place that fucking has it. Liquid! Recreational sand! Electric wind! Aggressive relaxation! That guy! Round things! Tanning apparatus! Whatever is going on in here! Colorful beverage accessories! Maximum plusosity! Airborneness! Find that one thing that you and only you find awesome! On planet
All right. That is just hands down one of my favorite commercials for many reasons. Part of what I really like about it, without saying who it's for, though I think we all know who it's for, is that phrase, find the one thing that you like. And with that, I'm going to start my presentation. Give me 1 second just to toggle to it. And here we go. All right. Try this one more time. Okay, so in today's world, travel marketing really boils down to two big buckets: distribution and differentiation. With distribution, the idea is the more people who see you, the more likely you are to get a booking. So you attempt to get your occupancy by maximizing your reach. And today, total distribution is relatively easy between search, Google 3-packs, bedandbreakfast.com, the online travel agencies, TripAdvisor, you name it, there's lots and lots of ways to be getting your site found. However, as we all know, those guys are all taking a bigger and bigger cut. And that's not going to stop. So I'm here to talk about the other bucket. I'm here to talk about why the last 10 years of travel marketing, which has been about getting online, getting found, getting ranked, in a world of total access, which is where we are today, doesn't matter. What matters is differentiation. And when we talk about differentiation, differentiation is not easy. It's hard. It's your story. It's your place. It's what makes you unique. While technology has made uploading pieces of our stories sort of easy today, most of us are not born storytellers. Most of us didn't go to college to be gifted writers or gifted photographers. Yeah, you can upload anything, and you can make a website, and you can make a Facebook page. Technology has made the uploading easy, but it hasn't made really cogent storytelling to very specific audiences easy. So I'm going to help you understand how your story and how the experiences that you offer at your property needs to match up to your best guests. And when you match the two of them up, you will do better in occupancy. You will do better in rate. And I'm going to show you that by illustrating two of our clients, a really good one and a really bad one. For some of us, a better story alone is not going to be enough. Some of us have got problems with our product. We can't change our location, but we can change our product. So this is one of my favorite slides. If you had a car that started 5% of the time, you'd trade it in. If you had a roof that was waterproof once every 20 thunderstorms, you'd replace it. Why then, in the travel world, are we okay? Why do we accept a website that works 5% of the time? And what do I mean by that? 5% of your visitors book with you. The other 95% don't. And for some reason in our industry, we've accepted this 3 to 5% conversion rate. And I'm here to say that we can't. There is no future in this small slice. Part of this is the evolution of the internet. First, we got our properties online. Then we worked to get our properties ranked in search engines to be found. So now, today, masses of people find us and see us and leave us. So as my dog would say, that's not my dog, but I love the expression of that dog. I'm going to take us through two different bespoke clients, one that's thriving and one that's dying, and we're trying to save. So in the last 5 years, we've learned a lot about how people make decisions and how their experiences become saved in their memory. This stuff is called neuroscience. You don't need to know it, but it really is revolutionizing marketing. And that's part of why I say the last 10 years of marketing doesn't really matter. What we've learned by using live MRI scans of the way people make decisions, and this has become real science at universities, is that people remember two things about an experience. They remember the high and the low. What was the most wonderful moment when they were getting that spa treatment or having that dinner? Or what was the worst moment when they discovered something? So they remember the high and the low, and they remember how they felt when that experience ended. So for us, why do we care about this? Because TripAdvisor rates our properties, and when we talk about rating our properties, what we're really talking about is rating the experience that someone had at the property. So if I can pass along one thing in this presentation to all of us who are worried about our TripAdvisor ranks, is that this insight may help you get better ranks, because what someone experienced their high, that's the best time to ask them for their review. How they felt when they left your property, when they checked out, is actually more important than how they felt when they checked in. So the highs and the lows, and at the point when they left, is really what determines what gets written up in your TripAdvisor review. I'm going to come back to this, but this notion about ranking experiences ultimately helps us get to who is the best audience for your property? Who is the tribe that understands uniquely what's so great about your place? Because in today's world going forward, in a world of total access, the people we need to be irresistible to are the ones who get us. For everyone else, it doesn't really matter. So much of travel marketing in the past was about making ourselves attractive to everyone. And I'm here to say that now that there is so much choice and there is so much access, being attractive to everyone actually hurts us. We just need to be attractive to our three best guest types. We need to be irresistible to those tribes of followers. The rest don't really matter as much. So let's keep going forward. So in the last 20 years, when baby boomers ruled the world, cool to a baby boomer was the counterculture figure, James Dean, people who were nonconformists. Today, in the last 15 years, with the technology revolution that we've all gone through, being an outsider is no longer cool. Being the insider is a lot cooler because technology, innovation have made finding those of us who think in a similar way a hell of a lot easier. And that's what we call social media. And so when we think about the social value of fit, who best fits at your property, we want to be thinking about really not just demographics, not just where they live, but what about the experience that they're going to have on your property is just, just fits them, because fit is really the future. If we try to be all things to all people, we are trying to be the Hilton Garden Inn. And those guys, the big brands, they will beat us every single time because they will take a few dollars off, they'll take away the booking, they've got the resources that we just don't have. So we need to not be all things to all people. We need to be hot and hip to your brand's insiders, to your hipsters. Social media and data science through TripAdvisor forms these tribes of people who have similar beliefs, who have similar interests, and that's who we really need to be writing a story for. Your story, as told to them. So I'm going to walk you through one of our success stories. The Anchorage is a small 16-key inn in Beaufort, South Carolina. Bespoke, really what our place in the world is fixing broken marketing plans or fixing broken properties. The Anchorage was a broken property bought by a couple of first-time innkeepers and launched in a market with a lot of bed and breakfast competition. And so we worked with the owners, Frank and Amy Lasang, to figure out really who are their best guests. How do we make sure the experiences that someone's going to have on this property are going to be highly valued? And how do we make sure they map to who those best guests are? And in the end, what we did for the Anchorage is line up what we call 3 lenses. The first experience that they had at the Anchorage. And the third and final lens is what is the rest of the world, namely in our case travel media, the New York Times, 52 best places to visit, how does that reflect our best storyline? And when you get those 3 lenses lined up, you can see very far to the future. When those lenses don't line up, you have problems. And so what we did for the Anchorage is we fashioned 3 very clear best guest targets. We call them personas. We defined what were the experiences that each of those guests wanted to have, whether they were there for a weekend or for a week. And we defined those experiences really as things to do that might be on property or things to do that might be nearby. And then lastly, we wrote storylines, or you can think of them as movie trailers, short 1-minute or shorter statements about what would make this property a fabulous escape. When you get it right, not only do your TripAdvisor reviews reflect it, but you get picked up by media because the chatter is irresistible. So this slide, in a very quick, I'm not going to be able to go through this because there's just not enough time, but basically it shows the 3 different guest types that we wanted to zero in on. The first is, and interestingly enough, it's not, when we look at who are your best guests, it's not just age, meaning demographics, and it's not just income, how much money they have. It's geography and where they're coming from, but more importantly, their affinities, the things that they like to do, and the ways that they like to be either entertained or pampered. And so we had our 3 profiles are actually Gen Xers down. We assumed that we would pick up the baby boomers that have been going to Beaufort forever because we were the new kids in town. And that in fact happened. So we actually didn't write a story for our baby boomer guests. We wrote our stories for two different Gen Xer profiles and a millennial profile. And that, in fact, is who's been showing up. And so today, a year and a half after the Anchorage launched, we set our prices not based on Buford, but we set our prices on our competition from Charleston, which is a very, very tough market. Our prices look like that of a Charleston property. We are the highest rate in Buford. And it was very scary for our property to price that high, but we felt that they were going to deliver an experience. We knew they were going to be the new kids in town. We knew everything was going to be brand new because of a renovation, and we got that rate. We also got astonishing occupancy levels, and we were lucky enough to get some really great media coverage. Coverage is not just in our local market, but all the way up to New York. So let me peel the onion a little bit more on how is it that we figure out what makes a property special. So we imagined who those three best guest types were going to be, or what I like to call them tribes. And we then use this little formula, and I'm happy to send this to anyone who wants it afterwards, or this Patty is recording the show so you can come back to it yourself. And we use this little template that has 5 lines, and it's disarmingly simple. But this is what great big ad agencies use in order to figure out positioning for a particular audience. You can think of it as, hey, when it's bedtime for your young children and you're thinking about what book to pick out of the bookcase to read to your child, you think very carefully about, well, which kid is it? What do they love? Is it giraffes? Is it fantasy stories? You know that and you pick it out. So when we're writing storylines, we really start with our audience first, and we do the story second. For whatever reason in our industry, maybe it's because we just don't have the time or we're not bored storytellers, we tend to start with ourselves first. And that's not the way to become irresistible to a guest. You need to start with them first. You know, it makes perfect sense. So this little statement, I encourage you to take a look at later on and figure out for yourselves. Try writing this for who your best guests are, and then comparing it to the copy that's on your homepage. Right away, I think you'll see if you are lined up or maybe you're misaligned. But it's really simple. It starts off with a statement, you know, for people who are looking for X and believe Y, and that belief part is really important. Our property, with its personality of zaniness or whatever, is the perfect fit because it offers these experiences, X, Y, Z, delivered through these benefits or through these features. So let's now look at this, the second lens, which frankly is of course, it's very important. We believe that TripAdvisor is a search engine, or I should really say a ranking engine of experiences. It's not just rate, it's not just how clean the room is, it's the experience that someone had in the property. It provides a rank for your brand's strength and your brand's ability to stop its potential guests in their tracks to book with you. When you look at this little word bubble, which appears above the individual rankings, and take some time to go back and look at yours, and then look at your competitors, you're going to see a series of little phrases. These little phrases are repeated by your reviewers. TripAdvisor's engine just plucks them out if they appear often enough and presents them as this little word bubble. This little word bubble changes all of the time. And if you see, when you look at yours, a lot of nouns, people are simply describing their experience. Pretty straightforward, pretty neutral. If you see a lot of verbs in your description, you are doing better. It means that there were experiences for people to do. And if you're lucky and you've done everything well and right, instead what you're going to see are gushing adjectives and adverbs. And this is really this means that you're connecting with your guests on an emotional level. Brands are emotions. Nouns mean that the connection was weak. Verbs mean, hey, they had something to do. Adjectives and verbs are gold. And so I encourage you to take a look at your own. Remember that humans make decisions based on kind of 3 criteria. That's as many as they can hold in their head. If all they see is a relatively, hey, the rooms are clean and breakfast is served on time, there's nothing compelling about your brand. And as I get to my second case, you're going to see you're going to see that kind of stuff. When we're looking at a project to reposition them, we look at who they are, who their three best competitors are in that market, and who their aspirational competition is. And we compare them up, and it actually becomes pretty simple pretty quickly. It's through emotional statements that your best guests are signaled that they're understood. I know this sounds a little crazy, but this is how we talk the language of our tribes. So what you're seeing here is just sort of a fuller snapshot. I think now it's a little hard for me to see these screens because I'm in presenter view. I think now I'm taking you into my troubled client as an example. I'm not going to tell you who they are. This is their TripAdvisor reviews. The property, this is their website. So I've now shown you two of their three lenses. The rooms are clean. We got shared bathrooms. It's noisy. We are not doing well. On the right is the website. I've blacked out who the name is. Of course, we're helping them redo this, but that website is really something that looks dated. It looks like it looks like your grandmother's website, frankly. It looks like it's designed for a pretty sleepy experience.
Hey,
Here's
Leighton.
what I'm here to tell you. This is in marketing.
Leighton,
Yes.
this is Patty. I'm sorry to interrupt, hon. The people online, they're only seeing your notes. They're really not seeing the website. The website's small. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, okay. I wish I'd known that at the beginning. Let me go back.
I just
I'm sorry.
got a note about that, and I wasn't sure. So I'm going to mute myself again.
Okay. All right. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to flash through the slides big. I'm not going to redo the whole show. And I'm sorry you got to see me read my text. 1 second here. This will be a lot sexier. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to our best case and go forward to our worst case. So this is the press coverage that we're getting for the Anchorage. It's in Beaufort, South Carolina. This is their website, and these are their TripAdvisor reviews. The three of these are almost copies of one another. In a closer snapshot, these are the three tribes that we focus on for the Anchorage. They're foodie-minded travelers who are Gen Xers and quite well off, who are what we call our rubber tire sophisticates, or people who are driving less than 3 or 4 hours and are looking to come in small groups, not couples, but small groups. This is the template that I was talking about before, and I think as Patty makes this available, take a look at it. This is our formula for writing a movie trailer. And the way it works is for travelers seeking something. It could be all different kinds of leisure travel, and believe whatever it is that they believe. My Inn is the perfect fit with its personality of whatever, because it offers these experiences. This is a deeper pass at, or simply letting you see the word bubbles that TripAdvisor creates for all of us. Remember, the advantage here, it's kept current all of the time, changes monthly. Look at your own to see how are people describing you. And the more gushing someone's comments, the more it shows up as really almost, you can think of it as keyword density. So now we're going to go look at the problem in. And here, you know, there aren't, there's a lot of descriptive things. Probably the worst thing about this word bubble is that one of the expressions, "it's a bit sad," shows up here. It means that not more than one person said this. So for this property, we're kind of on the edge of being a youth hostel. Their rates are the best in the market. They book up last. They're in Martha's Vineyard in a fantastic location, but it's an in-town location, so it's noisy. And so our job is to sort of take a hard look at this and have some tough love conversation with our client. When we compare what people are saying about us in TripAdvisor with what our website looks like, you can see that you can understand why people are saying what they're saying. And so our job is to say, well, okay, so if we're going to help these people survive and ultimately thrive, who is interested in staying in teeny tiny rooms, some with shared bathrooms, in a noisy location, in a fabulous beach community? And if you think about it, it's actually not that hard. So where else do people live in small quarters with a lot of activity? Gosh, that's starting to sound to me like big cities. Boston, maybe in particular New York. And when we think about, well, all right, so who wants to be in the middle, in the midst of an urban location that's very close to a beach? I think now we're talking about young people. We're talking about millennials. And so our work for this property is to focus on, we actually have them focused on 4 different tribes or 4 different buyer personas. The one I'm most excited about that I think will help them ultimately survive are, and by the way, this is their location. You know, this is what's within minutes of where they're located. And yet this is the lens that they present to the world is this. And so you can understand why when people get there, they're like, it's a very confusing presentation. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're retooling this property to be targeted 50% at millennials, at Manhattan, Boston millennials who want to be close to the action, who are going to fall into bed at midnight when the whole little town quiets down, and who are going to sleep late and want to go to the beach and start all over again. So our marvelous millennials really represent about 50% of the target for this project going forward for next summer. And then we have a couple of other, we continue to have a value-seeking best guest. We do get a lot of European travelers who are comfortable with a small inn shared bathroom setting, so we've hung on to them. And then lastly, young romancers who are economically challenged may also be willing to put up with the location. But now that we know who our best tribes are, these are the people for whom we're starting to write a storyline. And we deliver that storyline largely in images, a little bit in text. It really depends on the age of the guest. The other thing that we're helping this project, this client with, is what else can you do besides evolving your marketing message to become a more attractive property? And so I won't go through this but in any detail, but adding a roof deck gives them water view. Updating all of their rooms can make them a lot more, not only a lot easier to market, but can also add a lot to our rate per night. And evolving the food a little bit, not sure that's that important here. So as a part of our process, we ask our client to say, well, geez, who do you want to look like? And this is who these guys want to look like. We also say, hey, if you don't really, who are your best guests buying as brands? And so when we think about a Manhattan millennial, the target here, brands that appeal to these guys are Anthropology is an easy one. And we take a hard look at what's on their websites. How do they market themselves? And so these are really inspiration pages from Anthropology This is what's nearby. Really, literally, this part of Martha's Vineyard in the late 1800s invented the Camp Methodist gingerbread style, and the house on the right are what's in that's genuine and local. This is really Martha's Vineyard. And so we, taking a hard look at that and thinking, geez, how can we bring a little bit of this to our sad property? We started taking a look at how is their lobby structured? Is it really matched up to this guest profile, these millennials who want to share spaces and hang out? On the left is our lobby. It's not. I want you to think about your lobbies as experience clock 0. It's when the clock starts counting, and experience clock Z when it ends. Because when it ends and they leave, as I've told you, this is what's going to hit your TripAdvisor reviews. Our lobby on the left has gone through a big renovation. The yellow walls, the brown carpet, that front desk that looks like a bunker, those lovely old Victorian sofas that no one sits on because they're too big and people don't, strangers don't sit together on sofas, have been replaced with a much lighter, brighter, beachier, informal feel with a little bit of an eclectic quality. And so everything that's on the right hand of my slide is some interior design recommendations that we're working with this client on. Same sort of thing. Now, we got tiny rooms. We can't make our rooms any bigger, but we can make them little oases of calm. So the doilies are gone, the yellow walls are gone, the busy duvets are gone, the frills are gone, the lamps on the nightshades are gone, and what we've replaced it with is a very soothing gray with a bright white headboard that's almost the largest thing in the room, topped off by some genuine Victorian gingerbread. We're still in the process of having these headboards made right now, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this other than I'm personally delighted by it. But this little thing in the this piece of wood that I'm showing you in the upper right-hand corner is made by a craftsman on the island using an old gingerbread template. I know as soon as we release this story to local media and regional media, it's going to get picked up because it's interesting, and and it's genuine, and it's local, and it's real, and it becomes really sort of the focal point for the room. So I won't spend too much time on interior design because that's not really our topic. I'm going to shift gears before I leave this troubled property that is going through this major makeover. I want to just repeat a couple of ideas. One is that we don't need to be all things to all people. We just need to be very exciting to our best guest types. And that means we can take some chances creatively with our photography. And what that means is that we have to put some photography that has humans in it. We need to show our targets, and we need to show them doing the kind of stuff that we know that they will be delighted. That might be chowing down on a burger. It might be toasting. It could be any of a million things. But one or two lifestyle photos helps reassure someone that they're going to be not just happy but delighted. The storyline needs to be as long and in depth as it will be of interest to that tribe. For some people, that's a handful of photos. The younger the demographic, the more it should be photography. The older the demographic, maybe it's more text. But this notion of being special to your best tribes is at the heart of differentiation. And I think the question you have to ask yourselves is, yes, tools make it easy for us to load stuff up. I've given you some guidance for writing a better story to your best audiences. Challenge yourselves and the people who work for you to do this mapping of your best guests and the best movie trailer you can create for them. Often I'll have clients go to, if you Google movie trailer award shows, we need to be doing that in our world. And when you do that on the homepage, you command attention. So lastly, I'm going to show you, in the last week, Airbnb released their new trips program. And the trips program is basically organizing for their hosts what's going on nearby by tour providers, you name it, shopping, personal shopping, spa, whatever's nearby. You no longer need to rely on your Airbnb host to put it together for you. Airbnb will put it together for you with their program. Now, in many ways, that just digs further into our franchise because we know best. We are the local experts. We have the local relationships. We know who makes the best coffee is. We know where the art council is holding their watercolor class. All of this stuff, you know this, and you know it better than anyone else. But Airbnb is taking a run at our local knowledge by putting together yet another technology platform to let anyone interested in running these kinds of tours really sign themselves up and get customers. And so Bespoke has a couple of products that we've had for a long time that we call local hero products. One is simply a map that shows, and that's what I have on the screen now. Maps communicate graphically far more than we can ever do in words. And so in this map here, and I'll leave this presentation for a second and show you a couple of live things, and then I'll be done. This is our client, the Anchorage. We are directly across from the water. No one else in our market is on the water like we are. And each one of these little, we call them point of interest bubbles, when you click on them, it populates the information over here on the left. So in a second, we can see we're in the middle of everything, and yet we're just a little bit outside of it too, so it's quiet. Let me leave this presentation for a second, and I'll show you live how this stuff works. So as I click on any of these little point of interest dots, they pop up. This is based on a Google map, nothing unique about it. We show here's everything within a 5-minute walk, and here's everything within a 20-minute drive. We have some utterly fabulous beaches and parks that are just astonishing. The other, and this is, we call this a local hero map. We provide this as a hosted solution for $50 a month, along with the next 3 that I'm going to show you. The other challenge is that often there are events going on in our area that don't have to be hosted at our property, but if we present them in a compelling way, it gives people another reason to come stay with us. And so what we've done here is create what I call kind of a magazine presentation of what's coming up. And again, there's always something happening in your backyard. Because we're coming up on Christmas, this client hasn't done a great job with this, but we call this a local hero calendar. And when you click on any one of these, it gives you the detail on what's happening. The next thing I want to show you, I'm going to launch this while we're talking, and then I'm going to go to something else. The last thing is called a Stay Maker. And the Stay Maker is designed to build for you the movie trailers that I've been talking about. And so what it does when someone hits the website is it says, hey, plan your weekend. What activities and adventures speak to you? So let's say going to the beach, doing some fly fishing, and doing a horse tour are what I'm interested in. And at night, what am I interested in doing? Let's say some food and maybe the fine art of cocktails. And then lastly, who's on this trip? Is this a romance agenda or is this a guys weekend? What is it? I'm going to say it's romance. And now watch what happens. Let me turn up the volume here. This is going to build a movie trailer on the fly. And from here, I can now share this little movie trailer that I built not just for myself, but probably for my wife, by either emailing it to her or posting it on Facebook. And I put this up against what TripAdvisor is doing with their trips program any day of the week. We built this to make it easy for small properties to have the advantage of a big technology engine without having to pay for it. What I just showed you is based, all of the video you saw came from stock video. We spent no more than $200 on that stock video. The soundtrack is stock also, and it's triggered based on what kind of event you're going to have. So the stuff that we presented, only some of it is available at the Anchorage. The rest of it is just available nearby. And Beaufort is a teeny tiny little town. There's not a lot going on there. And yet we've made it look like this rather interesting, evocative program. So I'm going to wrap up my talk now by saying, you can try to tackle your challenges of marketing with more distribution. And frankly, for some of us, that is what we have to do. But if you're getting thousands of visitors a month already on your website and you're not happy with the bookings you're getting, chances are your problem really isn't distribution. It's in differentiation. You're not being special. And you may need some help in figuring out how to be special. But if you just focus on your 3 best guests and you be amazing and provocative for those 3 best guest types, you will do better. And because you'll be differentiated and you'll be able to charge a premium for that. So I think I'm going to wrap my talk up now. What I'd like to do is, anyone who has any questions, I'm going to turn on hopefully the little chat thing works, and I'm happy to spend as much time as anyone is interested. My last thought is, if we try to be all things to all people, we are trying to compete with this 2-star brands. We will never be able to beat the marketing muscle of the Hilton Garden Inn. So don't be the Hilton Garden Inn. Be the special place that is in your community. And that way, that really is a path that's defendable. All right, that's my talk. I'll stop yakking now and see if there are any questions or comments that I can address. Patty, anything else on my side that I need to touch base on? Crickets, so it sounds like not. And for those, if any of you do have a question on chat, it's in that little GoToMeeting box on the very bottom. It doesn't seem to be working for me. So Patty, if you see any chat messages come through, just please pop back in and let me know. Okay, well, I guess I'm not hearing anything, so I'm going to hit end the meeting. If you have any questions about any of the little product stuff, you can email me or go to our website, which is bespoke.house. There's no .com or anything, it's simply bespoke.house. The products are called Local Hero. You don't have to hire us to redo your website. You don't have to, we don't have to host your website. These products can be added on to your existing web properties. Thanks, and I wish I'd been able to see you in person where I could interact more, but we do the best we can. Take care, everyone.